It is Foot Trading's first birthday in March, and as our way of saying thank you to the insane support we've had for the last year, we are giving away your choice of an Xbox Series S or a PlayStation 5 digital to one lucky site subscriber. All you've got to do is be subscribed on the 31st of March in order to be entered automatically. Now, as a reminder, Tier 1 costs £10 a month, and that gives you access to buying and selling prices for special cards, for icons, for silvers, and for Thursday flips. So much stuff on the website, I'm forgetting what we do. And Tier 2 includes live filters, UCL cards, gold chem styles, and fluctuations, with more to be added in the coming days and weeks. There are multiple updates every day on the site, allowing you to trade 24 hours a day, no matter what time zone you are. Don't forget, if you do subscribe to the website, make sure you join the Discord. There are thousands of people in there helping each other to trade and make the most of it. We've got mods, you've got Dan and I, you've got trusted traders, all the stuff you could possibly want to make millions of coins on this game without having to spend any of your money on FIFA points. So good luck to everyone that enters, and once again, thank you very much for the amazing support we've had. You guys allow us to do this full time. We're extremely thankful, and we never lose sight of that. But for now, let's get into the video. Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to a new video with me, Fuzzball40. As always, if you're new around here, make sure you do subscribe down below. And make sure you turn your notifications on so you never miss an upload. As I always say, you get 3 a day on this channel. The morning League SBC Method to Glory. Get involved in that if you guys. I've seen a lot of you guys commenting down below saying, how do I do it? Like, can you explain it for me? There literally is a video explaining how to do it, and I'll make sure it's down below. But I believe that Yellen puts all the useful links for you guys in terms of how to do different methods down below from videos I brought out. So if you ever want to check it out, down below. But basically, League SBC method is how you craft packs and players on this game. And it means you haven't got to use FIFA points to do so. And it means you can compete. That's the most important thing. The evening video is always a trading video. At the moment, a lot of how-to guides, how to trade with this, how to trade with that. And so it's always worth checking those out. And we do run series like trading from 1k to a specific player. I really enjoy doing those series, so we will be bringing those back and continuing with those. And the midnight content, this video is a mixture of picks, packs, whatever's relevant on the game from 6 PM, all my thoughts on the game. And today we're going to talk about something that I was reading the other day, and I don't buy it. I'm going to be honest with you. I think there's an issue with it. So a lot of people for a long time have talked about the fact that they think there is scripting in FIFA. And if you don't know what scripting is, basically it's where the game will make you either miss a chance or have your opponent score one, or your keeper make a fumble. And the reason why a lot of people believe it's there is that EA own a patent to something called DDA. It's Dynamic Difficulty Adjustment. Basically what that does is it will adjust what happens in the game based upon certain scenarios. So if a worse player is playing a better player, it will make the better players maybe make more mistakes, or swing what the people call momentum in favour of the worst player. And they own a patent to it. Now, back in December, a lawsuit was filed against EA by some guys from California. And that lawsuit now has been withdrawn because EA allowed those guys access to the engineers who explained that it's not used in the game. Now, what I don't like about this is there's no more detail than that given as to why the lawsuit was withdrawn. I don't like that. That seems very shady to me. But obviously we're never going to know the details of that, but know that I have a background in law, and a lot of time when that sort of thing is said, it usually means something dodgy has gone on, put it that way. But either way, that's there, and that's the reason why a lot of people have always thought that that exists. But I was just reading through this article, and there was an interview from 2017 with a guy called, I think it's Matt Pryor is his name. Yeah, Matt Pryor, FIFA creative director. Now I don't even know if he's still there now. I want to see if he is. I think he is, yeah. I think he's still at EA, but I'm not overly sure. But I'm going to bring it up for you in a second. I'm going to go over the article itself and go over what he says. And for me, a lot of what's said here, compared to what he's talking about now, is massively contradictory. So I will be right back. Alright, so shout out to Eurogamer for this article. Wesley Paul is his name, is the editor. Basically, it sums it up in terms of what's going on. But what I'm interested in is EA's statement, okay? So, ensuring fair play is critical to all of us at EA, and we try to be as clear as possible that this commitment applies to us just as much as it does to our players. We've publicly said before that we do not use any scripting or DDA or anything similar that would automatically adjust the difficulty of gameplay in FIFA, Madden and NHL. Our clear statements were recently challenged in a lawsuit that alleged we did, in fact, use DDA in Ultimate Team modes. We're pleased to share that plaintiffs have now dismissed their case. We provide them detailed technical information, access to speak by engineers, all of which confirmed, again, there is no DDA or scripting Ultimate Team modes. This is the right result. Okay, so firstly, why have you not released that information to everybody else? If you gave access to these 3 individuals, why have you not given that detail and what you're saying there to the gamers themselves, to all of us as a community? Why have you not said, this is what we provided them with, here is your fact? It's iffy for me. While EA does own a patent for DDA technology, that technology was never in FIFA, Madden, NHL, never will be. We would not use it, blah, blah. You actually do not have it in FIFA, Madden, or NHL. Okay, so firstly, why is it there? If that makes sense, why is it there? And secondly, again, all of this part here that they're talking about, I'm like, okay, cool. So if you take it on face value, you're saying you don't use scripting. Why have you not released that information to everyone else and said, this is what we showed the people that were suing us. Here it is for you guys, so you can know wholeheartedly we do not use scripting in the game. Because I'm going to be blunt with you, I don't buy this at all. For me, looking at it from like my legal background and a sort of legal perspective, this to me feels very shady. Because I don't know, if you were so certain about the fact you didn't use that, if you've given these guys some information or given them access to your engineers, that conclusively means that they've just withdrawn their lawsuit from you without any sort of money exchanging hands or any agreement. They've just withdrawn their lawsuit. Why have you not provided that information to everybody else that plays your game? To me, that's dodgy. It's absolutely dodgy. I don't like it. But then what I found was, basically in 2017, the guy who wrote this article, bear me a second, we'll get his name again, Wesley Ian Paul, he refers to an article in 2017 with Matt Pryor, the FIFA creative director. And in this, he says, it's something we often get asked, is there something that scripts things? I can assure you that absolutely isn't it. It's just football. That kind of thing happens in football. Pryor said that FIFA does, however, contain a potential for player error, but rather than this being the result of some overarching momentum, it's based on an individual player's statistics and other factors such as their fatigue. There is some algorithms to trapping the ball. That's inbuilt throughout the game, but that's all measured on an individual level. It doesn't take into account, oh, this is 1-0 in the 90th minute. Let's give this guy more error. It's very much individual. As a result, it can happen at any time. This is part of the beauty of the sport. That can be frustrating at the time, but that's the nature of football. He then goes on to give an example about the fact that Middlesbrough beat Man City 1-0 with their one chance on goal. We represent the real world sport, and you get that both in our game and the real world sport. You don't want some 4th division defender trapping the ball as well as Messi, right? A lot of that is then also stat-based. Some of it is fatigue-based. If a guy is dead on his feet, he's going to make a mistake. There's a lot of things that factor into that make it happen, but fundamentally that's football. So, what I struggle with at this point here is I sort of half get what he's saying in terms of the fact that basically in football, in real life, errors happen. And that means that in real life, for example, a team might win when they shouldn't have, or a result happens that shouldn't have happened. There's two problems I have with that, firstly. The first is that FIFA isn't real life. FIFA is supposed to be a competitive esport, a competitive game where you are rewarded for playing better, okay? So if you're better than your opponent, you should be rewarded for that. Now, he's saying things like fatigue or stats affect a player's ability to maybe score, to trap a ball and things like that. The problem that I have with that, as we all know, is that's bull. Because in the 30th minute, you have a player who will completely and utterly miscontrol a ball. And what he's saying there also is that it's built into the game that at times players will take missed touches. Now, if you are convincing people that you are a genuine esport, that means you're taking out of a player's hands, essentially, their ability, because the game might just decide to make that player not trap the ball properly. Or the game might decide to make that player not shoot on target. That's what he said there. So, if it was like happening in the 90th minutes of games all the time, I'd understand it. But I've had plenty of games where Team Lewandowski has put a volley wide from 3 yards out in the 30th minute or whatever. But surely that's scripting. If it is inbuilt in your game, that at sometimes the game in the algorithm will make a player mistouchable, it will make a player miss a shot, surely that's scripting. Because that's what it sounds like a lot to me. So they can refer to scripting as DDA, dynamic difficulty adjustment. But for me, if you've got a part of your game that basically will make an error on behalf of a player and cost that player potentially a goal, make them concede, make them lose possession, that to me is scripting. I can't see any other way you can gloss that up than saying that is scripting. Because that is the game taking away from your skill level and making your player make an error that you cannot account for. And I have a concern with that. And I really don't like this last quote at the end. And this to me sums up EA as a company. I've said before, I think EA are vile and most of their employees are vile. No, we're not cheating, Pryor responded. Absolutely not. It might feel like that when you're on the other end of it. There's always an excuse. It was skill when you won, cheating when you lost. What I love about EA, right, and I'm saying this ironically, is that whenever anything is said to them, it's always everyone else's fault. EA they never take responsibility for anything, up to the point that until recently, whenever they did something wrong, on Twitter they'd say, we fixed your error, and it might be the servers that have gone down. It's like, well, that's not my error, that's you being crap. But either way, it's that smug mentality that EA have. But my guy is banter because he's turned around and said, basically, that the game has an algorithm inbuilt to make your players make mistakes out of your control, and then says, there's always an excuse. Well, no, you've just told us. You've literally just told us the game will screw you over at points. So that's not an excuse, it's just fact. And I find it bizarre. I find it really bizarre that they have this air of like, yeah, well, what we do is perfect, but it's not. It clearly isn't. You guys would have seen that that gameplay video I brought up recently when there was all those errors in one game. But this is dicey to me. I really don't like this. This whole, they've suddenly withdrawn their lawsuit because we showed them some stuff. Okay, fantastic. Show us. Show everyone. Why if you feel like you're going to be able to show these, you should show the guys who are suing you some amazing stuff to basically mean they're going to withdraw their lawsuit. Show us. Show everyone what it is we need to see to know that DDA, scripting, whatever it is, doesn't exist in the game. Because the other thing that's happening at the moment is there are certain governments in the world talking about looking at EA's use of pack probabilities and pack weight. So if you don't know this, France are currently looking at basically loot boxes in the same way Belgium did. But EA are subject to, basically, there was I think it was in the French Parliament, French government, someone basically said that the pack probabilities, if you get a fruit machine, for example, it says you've got X% chance of winning something from the game. We've seen this year pack probabilities change from one set of 100k packs to another set of 100k packs on this game. During Team of the Year, it happened twice. So 100k pack gave you like a X% chance of packing X player, and then it changed to the next set of 100 packs. So it basically was confirmation that EA mess about with pack weights on the store. We know that now, it's facts. They bait themselves out. And so to me, that also has its problems, because if you're changing pack weight, then it's not random. Basically what you're doing is, I could buy a 100k pack on one day, and I could buy a 100k pack on another day. My chances and my odds of winning change based upon the day or the time that I buy that pack. Now, you could argue that's the same for fruit machines, but I don't think it is. It generally tends to be just pure luck, which is what it should be. This is the odds of winning. There you go. And it's going to be very interesting, I think, in the next 6 months to a year, because more and more people, I think, are starting to see practices of companies like EA and seeing what they're doing. And I think more governments now are starting to take a much more firm interest in them. And I'm going to be honest with you right now. I think what's happened here is very, very underhand. Something has happened here that means these guys have withdrawn their lawsuit and EA have not shared with anyone why. They've just told us we talked to them, basically. And that's a problematic. But I think we're about to see a lot more. Not just to do with the scripting side of things, but to do with the gambling side element of it. I think we're about to see a lot more of that. I think we're going to see a lot more in terms of the mis-selling. There's a lot of talk at the moment about how FIFA 21, it was 21 where you are, was mis-sold to people as a game. We weren't given you a sort of opportunity to demo the game before it came out, and we all know now that FIFA 21 came out unfinished. We know that there can be no debate anymore. It's a diabolical mess. And so there's talk about the No Man's Sky. If any of you remember No Man's Sky, when it came out, it promised a lot of stuff it didn't deliver on. A lot of people are saying this is very similar to what EA have done this year. FIFA 21 doesn't deliver on most of what it said it's going to do. And basically lots of lies have been made, if we're being honest. EA talking about icons being more accessible this year. They're not. They're more expensive than they've ever been. So that was a lie. The EA saying that the gameplay is more realistic than it's ever been, and it's sort of flawless this year and faultless. And we all know now that was a lie. And so this worries me that we're not seeing what's going on and what EA are basically saying to people to get them to withdraw lawsuits. So I don't like that one bit. We get a generic statement, but I am hopeful that as time's progressing now, more and more people are waking up to these underhand and shady tactics that EA do throw out. And I would love to find out what changed in this. I would love to find out what was said and what was done that meant that this lawsuit was withdrawn. Because I don't buy it, and I also think it completely and utterly contradicts what Matt Pryor's turned around and said, which is there are errors inbuilt into the algorithm that will stop you from trapping a ball right. And I know he gave the analogy of the 4th division player to Messi, for example, but he then goes and contradicts himself by saying it happens in real life, it happens in the game. Like, to me, there's still a problem. There's still a problem there with that. And yes, I'd understand it if consistently the same player, let's say the player has lack of ball control, if consistently that player was miscontrolling, I'd understand, but it happens to some of the best players in this game. I was watching some of the competitive gameplay the other day, and like Hullet and R9 just knocking the ball 5 yards ahead of them, and then basically sort of ice skating on that spot, that little sort of cartoon character run they do when it slows them down from running. But that's just my thoughts on this whole lawsuit thing, and I'm interested to know what you guys think. I think it's underhand, I think it's shady AF, and I think EA should be telling people what was said there. I think there's no justifiable reason why they had a lawsuit against them, and this lawsuit's now been withdrawn, and they've not told us why. But let me know down below what you think. It'd be interesting to hear your thoughts. But that's going to be the end of the video. If you are new around here, as always, make sure you subscribe down below. Make sure you turn your notifications on so you never miss an upload. But for now, I am out. Peace out. I'll speak to you soon.